Hello! Today we're going to read the story of Jackie's Special Halloween. So, it is a story by Brenda Castro, and the pictures or illustrations are by Maria Boas. It was the day before Halloween, and Jackie sat impatiently in the pumpkin patch, waiting to be chosen. She had heard the stories about Halloween. All the pumpkins say it was one of the most exciting of all nights. Neighborhoods glow with the light of freshly carved jack-o'-lanterns, and happy children attend parties or walk down the streets dressed in costumes, gathering bags full of delicious candies and fun treats. Jackie hoped somebody in the crowd of people who came to the pumpkin patch that day would choose her. She very much wanted to be a part of all the festivities. Jackie had always heard that if you were chosen by a child, you will be able to talk to children on Halloween night. I want that pumpkin, Jackie heard a voice say, and then a little boy knelt beside her. You are the perfect pumpkin, he told Jackie. All my friends are going to love you. We are planning the best party ever. We're going to dress up, play games, and eat tons of candy. Well, Pablo, there is more to Halloween than candy and costumes, a little girl told the boy. What do you mean? The boy asked. Bella is right, said the children's mother. The word Halloween comes from the phrase All Hallows Eve. Hallows is another name for saints. Halloween is the day before All Saints' Day, which always falls on the first day of November. That's why we go to Mass that day, to honor all the saints. What is a saint? Pablo asked. Saints are people who lived virtuous lives and did God's will, said the children's father. Now they are in heaven, watching out for us, always ready to help us to love God and each other. That's why we're having a big celebration tomorrow to honor them at our All Saints' Day party. Bella and Pablo took Jackie home and went to work carving her into a beautiful jack-o'-lantern. They placed her outside on the porch. The next evening, they gave her a candle and a flame. Her bright smile showed how happy she was. Everything she had ever heard about Halloween was true. There were lots of people out on the street, and the night was glistening with radiant jack-o'-lanterns just like her. Bella and Pablo finished decorating their house and putting on their costumes. It was time for the guests to arrive. The first was a boy in a brown robe. He had a dove resting on his shoulder. Who are you? Jackie asked. I am the patron saint of animals, said the boy. I was born in Italy in the small town of Assisi in the year 1181. My family was very wealthy, and I loved going to parties and spending time with my friends. Then one day I heard the voice of God telling me that I needed to change. He wanted me to live a life of poverty and prayer. I gave up my fortune and lived the rest of my life in prayer, preaching to others about the goodness of God. Living my life completely for God filled me with joy. Wow, Jackie exclaimed. Who wouldn't want that kind of joy? Exactly, the boy said. What is your name? Asked Jackie. My name is Francis, replied the boy. The life of St. Francis of Assisi helps Jackie understand the virtue of obedience. Jackie was fascinated to learn that this man decided to obey God and gave up all his money to live in poverty. He was inspired by the love he felt for the Lord. Next to arrive at Bella and Pablo's house was a boy dressed in a white habit under a black cloak. He was carrying a broom. "Who are you?" Jackie asked. "I was born in Lima, Peru on December 9th, 1579, said the boy. "My father was a wealthy Spanish gentleman and my mom was a freed slave from Panama. People made fun of me because of my mixed race. My father abandoned us and my sister and I grew up with our mom. When I was young, I began to learning about medicine and cutting hair. And that's why why now I am the patron saint of barbers. When I was 24, I became a Dominican brother and I volunteered to clean the convent. This broom here is the symbol of my humility and my willingness to do chores that seem unimportant. I also help take care of the sick and the poor." "I'll bet people really loved you," Jackie said. "Yes, I love making people happy, but pleasing God is even better," the boy said. "What's your name?" asked Jackie. "Saint Martin de Porres." "My name is Saint Martin de Porres," replied the boy. Saint Martin de Porres's life helped Jackie understand the virtue of humility. She learned that Martin was happy to clean the convent and serve the poor and the sick. Next, Jackie saw a girl and a boy dressed in white. The girl's habit had a blue trim. "Who are you?" Jackie asked her. "I was born in 1910 in Macedonia. When I was 18 years old, I became a nun and was sent to the city of Calcutta in India. A few years later, I felt God was calling me to live my life serving the poorest of the poor, and I founded the Missionaries of Charity. Other sisters joined in my order, and we all dedicated our lives to taking care of orphans, the homeless, the hungry, and those who were dying, and those who had no one to love them." "And who are you?" Jackie asked the boy who arrived with the girl. He was dressed in a white alb and wore a small cap. "I am the patron saint of World Youth Day," said the boy. "I was born in Poland on May 18th, 1920. In the year 1978, I became Pope. One day, a man shot me in an attempt to take my life. When I recovered from the wound, I went to visit the shooter in prison. After talking to him about God, the man felt sorry for what he had done, and I forgave him." "That's amazing! How much your love of God inspired you to love others," Jackie told the children. "What are your names?" "My name is Saint Teresa of Calcutta," said the girl. "Everybody calls me Mother Teresa." The life of Mother Teresa helped Jackie understand the virtue of compassion. The saint spent her life sacrificing for the poor and suffering. "And have you guessed who I am?" asked the boy. "My name is Pope John Paul II." The life of Pope John Paul II helped Jackie understand the virtue of forgiveness. John Paul II forgave a man who tried to kill him and taught the man about God. A few minutes later, Jackie saw a girl carrying a rose and wearing a brown dress and a black headpiece. "Who are you?" asked Jackie. "I'm the patron saint of missions and florists. I was born in France in the year 1873. My mother died when I was 4 years old, and my sisters took care of me. When I was 8 years old, I got very sick with a fever. Everybody thought I was going to die. My sisters were praying for me to get better, and I started praying too. Mary, the Mother of God, appeared to me and smiled at me, and I was suddenly cured. At the age of 14, I entered the Carmelite convent. I died of illness when I was only 24. I never did great things or had significant accomplishments, but I always followed God's will and did small deeds filled with great love. Love. That sounds like the best way to get to heaven, Jackie said. Yes, that is the way, the girl smiled. What is your name? Asked Jackie. My name is Therese of Lisieux. The life of Saint Therese helped Jackie understand the virtue of love. Although Therese had no special achievements that made her great in the eyes of the world, she did small acts of kindness, inspired by the love she felt for God. Another boy arrived, dressed in black and wearing a white beard. He was holding a baby in his arms. Who are you? Jackie asked. I am the patron saint of charitable societies. I was born in the year 1581 in France. One day I was captured by pirates and became a slave. After I preached to my master about God, he became a Catholic and set me free. I spent the rest of my life serving the poor and the needy. I founded an organization called the Daughters of Charity, a group of ladies who help me serve the sick, the poor and the sick. Wow, that's wonderful that people wanted to help you help others, Jackie said. Yes, our good deeds can inspire goodness in other people, the boy said. What's your name? Asked Jackie. My name is Vincent de Paul, the boy replied. St. Vincent's life helped Jackie understand the virtue of charity. He spent his life clothing and feeding the poor, tending to the sick, visiting prisoners, and caring for the old and abandoned children. The old and for abandoned children. The next guests to arrive were a boy and a girl. The girl was dressed in white and had a black garment covering her head. The boy was dressed in black and was wearing a tall hat, carrying a quill pen. Who are you? Jackie asked. The girl was the first to respond. I am the patron saint of mothers and wives. I was born in the year 331 in Algeria, North Africa. When I was very young, I got married and had 3 children. One of my sons did not believe in God, and I constantly prayed for him and shed many tears. My prayers were heard, and my son not only became Catholic, he became a well-known saint. That's me, exclaimed the little boy with her. I'm the patron saint of theologians. Say that word. People who study religion. I was born in the year 354 in North Africa. For many years, I lived a life of sin, and I spent time with people who were a bad influence. My mother constantly prayed to God that I would turn away from my wicked ways and live a holy life. One day, I heard a voice telling me that I had to read the scriptures. I began to read the Bible, and I understood that God wanted me to follow him. Eventually, I became a priest, then a bishop. I wrote books and letters that teach people how to be good Catholics. I am known as the doctor of the church because the things I wrote about God were so important for people to learn. Wow! All of that happened because of the prayers of one woman? Jackie asked. Oh, yes. Prayer is very powerful, the boy said. God hears every prayer and wants to give us all the things that are good for us, the girl added. What are your names? Jackie asked. My name is Saint Monica, the girl said, and I'm Saint Augustine, said the boy. Saint Monica's life helped Jackie understand the virtue of faith. When her son turned away from God, Monica's faith gave her the strength and hope to pray for many years until her prayers were answered. And St. Augustine's life taught Jackie about the virtue of wisdom. When Augustine began to read the Bible, he turned away from the evils of the world and became wise in his understanding of God. He shared his wisdom with others through his many books and letters. All of the guests had arrived now and at the All Saints' Day party, and it was time for the games to begin. So Bella and Pablo passed out pillowcases for the sack race. But Jackie still had 2 more questions. Pablo, you and Bella never told me about your saints, Jackie said. Pablo was wearing a brown tilma with a picture of a lady on it. The lady appeared to be illuminated by the rays of the sun. I am a saint who was born in Mexico in 1474, Pablo said. I am the patron saint of indigenous people, those whose ancestors have lived on the same land all throughout history. One day, my uncle was very sick, and I went to find a doctor. On my way, there was a lady. A lady appeared to me. She told me to go and talk to the bishop and let him know that she wanted a church to be built in my city. At first, I didn't want to go because I thought the bishop would not believe me. But after he saw her image on my tilma, he knew I was telling the truth. The church was built and millions of people in Mexico believed and became Catholic. Wow, Jackie exclaimed. That lady must be very special. Who is she? She is Mary, the mother of Jesus. And yes, she is very powerful in her ability to lead people to God because she wants everything her son wants. And he is the Savior of the world and the whole reason all the saints have made it to heaven. Now I can see why you want to wear that tilma, Jackie said. What's your saint's name? Saint Juan Diego, the boy said. Saint Juan Diego's life helped Jackie understand the virtue of courage. When Our Lady of Guadalupe appeared to Juan Diego, he was courageous enough to talk to the bishop, even though he knew he would not be believed at first. What about you, Bella? Jackie said. Who is your saint? Bella had her hair in braids and wore a cross around her neck. She was dressed in suede leather. I am the first Native American saint to be canonized, and I am known as the Lily of the Mohawks. I was born in New York in 1656. When I was 4 years old, I got sick with smallpox and my face was badly scarred. When I was young, I felt embarrassed to show my scarred face, so I covered it with a veil. At the age of 19, I became the only Catholic in my village, and I endured ridicule and harassment from non-believers. I was forced to abandon my village and move to a new city to avoid persecution. When I was 24, I got sick and died. That must have been really hard to be the only Catholic, said Jackie. Didn't you feel lonely? Yes, but Jesus was my constant friend, and I knew someday I would live with him forever in heaven, where there is no sickness and no sadness and definitely no loneliness, since there are so many amazing saints there. What's your saint's name? Asked Jackie. Kateri Tekakwitha, Bella said. Tekakwitha is a Mohawk name given to Kateri by her tribe. It means putting things in order. Kateri was certainly good at putting God first. The life of Saint Kateri helped Jackie understand the virtue of sacrifice. Leaving her village to move to a strange city was very difficult and frightening. But Kateri knew there was no other way to be faithful to Jesus. She dedicated her life to prayer and offered her suffering to the Lord. Jackie was beginning to understand that Halloween is not just about dressing up as ballerinas, cowboys, and superheroes. This day is all about the heroes of the faith. Jackie was very inspired, and she too wanted to be special. Bella explained to Jackie that every single creation of God's has a purpose. Jackie's purpose was to light the path for children on Halloween night with her beautiful inner light. Jackie was very happy to know God created her with something special in mind, and so she was proud to shine her light for all to see.